How's it going, everybody? Matt Borey here from Florida Man Fishing. About to go live. Well, I guess I am live now. Planning a trip, going out to Chuckaluski this weekend, so I figured I would go live again and plan this trip. Give me 1 second now to get this chat opened up on my phone in case anybody's here. Let's see. Switch account. Uploading a video on my other channel right now, so I can't do it from the can't do it from my computer. Give me 1 second. Let me get this pulled up on my phone here. Switch account. Hopefully we're live. We're supposed to be. It says we're live. View channel. Okay, we're live. Okay. So, not that there's anybody watching, but, we'll go. So, what do I have got? A lot of layers turned on here. Let's shut off some layers, shut off my spots, shut off my waypoints. Insider spots and site dissections. We're going to shut this off. So, if you're not familiar, I'm on Smart Fishing Spots, which is the program. It's a web-based program made from Saltstrong, and it helps you find fishing spots. So I live up here in Delray Beach, and I drive down here to Everglades City to fish pretty much every weekend. And I think it's going to be a little chilly this weekend, so I am planning on going out Saturday. And they give you a little bite score. Strike score, which gives you a good idea of whether or not it's going to be a good day of fishing. 6.8 is decent. And you go here, you get all your information. So this is our first high tide is in the morning. 2.8 foot high tide. That's a pretty high tide. And that is at 4:30 in the morning. Low tide is at 12:30 in the morning. So it's going to be an outgoing tide all morning. That's at Chuckaluski. And the way it works is, if you move this map around, there's this little plus that's in the center of the map, right? So wherever you move that plus, it's going to show you a little red flag. And these numbers are going to change, and this tide is going to change, you see, based on what tide marker you're at. So let's see. Weather for this weekend, Saturday morning, it's going to be in the 50s. At 55 at sunup, high of 67 in the afternoon. So it is going to be chilly willy. So I am planning on, there's two places you can fish in Chuckaluski. You launch here and you can go either all the way through the backcountry or you can go out front. A general rule of thumb is you fish out front in the summertime and you fish in the backcountry in the wintertime. Now it is, let me check the current weather. Oh, Weather Underground. Let's see. What is the current weather where I am? It's 66 right now, so it's going to be not that much colder. So I would say if it's a real fast shift in water temperature, I would say you might want to in air temperature, the water temperature is not going to change that much, so you might want to still fish out front. But I'm thinking that it's going to be, since it's not a huge shift, we're going to be fishing the backcountry back here. So it's going to be an outgoing tide all morning, so we're going to want to look for spots that are going to be good in the outgoing tide. And you can, let's turn on some layers here that you can turn on. The ones I do want to turn on are oyster beds. And another cool thing is if you're trying out a new spot and you're not familiar at all, they have these smart spots that you can turn on too. And as you can see, they're color coded here. And you've got the purple is fair, pink is good, yellow's great, and red is hot. And these spots also change based on the time that you want. So we're going to look at an outgoing tide in the morning, and you've got all these spots to play with. But I come out here fairly often, so I don't use these that much. I kind of think it's like cheating almost. I like to try and figure everything out myself. This is the whole Thousand Islands area up here, but I think in this cooler weather we're going to have, we're going to want to stay in the back country back here. So I'm going to shut off the smart spots for now. And so what do we say? First thing in the morning, I usually launch right around sun up, which is at about 6:15 in the morning. So we're going to want, and what is the wind? The wind is out of the north. Very strong, 10 miles an hour. And whatever rule number one of fishing, at least in Florida, never, ever, ever trust a north wind. Whatever it says, the wind is, if the wind is good, it's forecast to be out of the north, whatever it is, usually add about 50% to that. So I'd say it's probably going to be blowing at least 15 miles an hour out of the north, which is a bit hefty of a headwind. So you're going to want to look for spots. You're going to want to stay tucked up on the north side of islands so that you're out of the wind. So there were a few spots that I wanted to look at. So when I leave in the morning from Chokoloskee, the boat ramp is over here on the north side of the island, right here. So I leave, I come down here, cut through this bay, and then there's a bunch of rivers you got to cut through here. There's a few needles you got to thread there that are a little sketchy, so we're going to just look where we're going to go. Lopez River is a main thoroughfare, so I don't usually, if you're coming to the backcountry, you're going to come through either Lopez or back here through Mud Bay. Mud Bay, this area, if you ever come here, incredibly sketchy to come back through here. Only ever come back through here on a high tide. I could actually come back through, I'll be able to come through there Saturday morning, so I'll probably leave and actually come up this way because the tides have not been very conducive to coming this way the last few times I've come out. So we've got a few sandbars here, or oyster bars here on islands. So let's see. If I go out in the morning here, tide will be coming out. It'll be pushing out of here and blowing out of the north. So I'm probably going to start off the morning on a few of these spots. One thing I want to do, though, is I want to change to their other satellite. I want to go to the high-res satellite because I find that these are usually a bit better. So, and I want to turn on the 1 foot contour here. This is going to bog down my computer. This contour, if you're not familiar with the area, is also very good, but it does bog down your computer a bit. So I want to just turn this on. So first spot I'm going to fish is I'm probably going to start off the morning here on this oyster bar here because I'll be protected from the wind because I'll be on the south side of it. Wind will be blowing from the north. I'll be protected there. We've got some structure. There, you got an oyster bar, drops off a bit. And these numbers are usually the median low tide, so it is going to be a bit deeper than this when I get out there at high tide. So it's going to be about 3 feet deep, so I'm going to try and fish that in the morning. And then I'm going to shut these contours back off for so it doesn't bog down my computer too much. And then we're going to want to come look through here. Now, one thing you're going to probably want to look for when it's this cold is you're going to want to be looking for stuff like this that's a mud bank. Because early in the morning, especially, the sun is going to rise out of the east over here, of course, and it's going to set in the west. So you're going to want to try and find some mud banks that are right out on the west side of stuff. Because when the sun rises in the east, the sun's going to be sitting on there and warming up that water first thing. So you want to try and catch some fish slipping. So on the way out, after fishing those spots, I'm going to try and fish probably this bank and maybe this bank here. I'll try and fish those on the way out. And let's see. This is Mud Bay, so it gets real sketchy up in this spot here. So I'm going to go ahead and probably not stop in any of these areas because you can get yourself into some trouble. So I'm going to probably rip full throttle through there, stay on plane the whole way, and get back into here. And then once we get into here, this is going to be another good spot to check. Is going to be this. I know these sandbars here, so I'll probably try these in the morning and see how they're looking. If we can't catch any fish slipping, can I change this to get any better? No. So let's keep on looking. I usually cut straight through. I have a really bad habit of cutting through most of the backcountry and just going to stuff that's really, really far away. So one thing that I've been saying I want to focus on is stopping at some of these closer spots here. Like usually I'll cut through the first 3 or 4 bays, just going like full speed. So let's see. We've got a bit of a mound here. That could be good looking for some trout in the morning there. These 2 mounds got some structure in the middle there, so that could be definitely interesting to see. I'm going to have to run over those with my depth finder because sometimes this topographical map, they pull this from the charts. Sometimes it's not 100% right. So you'll see some stuff on here that looks real good, and then you get over it and you check it with your depth finder, and it's not that good. But like both of these spots here look like they could be nice little trout holes. And the closer that these lines are together, the faster it's going to drop off. So let's see here. So again, we're looking for some banks that are going to have nice sandy shore and are going to be on the west side facing the east because that water is going to be warming up first thing. So I'm going to shut this contour off for a minute to be able to look for some, because there's some spots where if you see them on this GPS, you can definitely tell this that it's going to be a nice real sandy bank. I don't see any. You see, this looks like it's going to be a bit of a drop off. If you want to find something that's real sandy, where's a good example of that? It's going to be this whole bay here is very shallow, so this could be a good spot. One good spot no, that's not even a good example. Where's a good example of a spot that I know is going to be real beachy? I'll show you. Like out here, for instance, on the beach side, just as an example, you can see that you see it's clearly a beach and it's very sandy. So you want to find something like this in the back country, because out front it's probably going to be a bit too cold. But for this weekend, so let's see, let's go back to where we were. So we were up in this bay. But like one spot that I'd have to go check it out, I'd probably mark this spot, because with that 15 mile an hour wind, it's going to be tough. So you're going to want to stay out of the wind. So I'm going to be checking a lot of spots like this, and you can toggle back and forth between these 2 satellites, because sometimes one of them's a bit better than the other. Let's see, is this, there's one spot in particular, this spot with all these oyster bars. I know there's a beachy spot here. Which is the better GPS to find this beachy spot here? There we go. So this is what you're really looking for on the GPS, is a spot that's going to look like this. So this would be a real good spot to fish because it's beachy. And ideally, if the wind is out of the north, if this forecast is correct, this should be very, closed off. So we want to try and find some stuff that looks like that. This is going to be another real good spot here, but it's going to be real. The issue is it's going to be real blown into the wind. So if the wind is not bad, if it's closer to 10 or even under 10 miles an hour, this would be a real good spot to fish, because the wind is going to be blowing down and the bait's going to be getting pushed all up onto here. So this could be a real good spot to fish. However, if the wind is too strong, you're going to be fighting that current the whole time in your boat and trying to not get blown up onto these oysters. So that could be a little sketchy spot there. But let's see. We need more beachy spots. I might try and look. Are there going to be any beachy-ish spots in here? Not really, but these oyster bars could all be good to try and fish, because there's a lot of structure here and you're isolated from the wind. So with this 9 to 10 miles an hour, like it says, is not a terrible forecast, but the last time I went out, it said it was supposed to be 5 to 10 miles an hour, and it was blowing easily 15 to 20, gusting to like 30 to 35. So that's really what I'm trying to find, is some spots that are looking nice and are going to be isolated from a northern wind. This could be a good spot right here. We got a nice little beach here. So I'm going to definitely mark this spot here and look for some fish that are slipping in the morning also. So that's going to be a good spot. We have all these oyster bars out here. I've been wanting to try to fish all these oyster bars, but every time I go out, it's been so damn windy, and this entire bay has just been blown to hell with like 2-foot whitecaps, which, you know, doesn't sound that bad if you're in a big offshore boat, but if you're in a 17-foot skiff like what I have, fighting that wind is not fun. So I would love to try and fish some of these oyster bars, and I've been really, really wanting to, but my God, Mother Nature has just not been cooperating with me. So let's see, because some of these spots could look a little juicy here, but again, neither one of that's the issue with the backcountries is water gets so muddy. So like even on these satellite pictures, it gets a little hard to see here. This could be a fun spot here too. I definitely think with the outgoing tide too, all the water is going to be pushing out of this little bay back here, coming right out this river. So this is one spot that I'm going to want to fish. So I am going to do tools. I'm going to do a waypoint, new waypoint, add it here, check this spot, outgoing tide, north wind. So I'm going to save that. Waypoint was saved successfully. Okay. Oh, wait, no, I don't want all my waypoints turned back on. I don't want to give away all the juicy stuff now. My waypoints need to be shut off. Okay, so I think this is going to be a real juicy spot, though, because look at this. All this water here only has one way to go, right through here. So I'm definitely, this spot's looking like it's going to be mighty fine. Because what was this wind saying? Because it's saying out of the north, shifting to the northeast. So even if this is wrong and it's blowing straight out of the northeast in the morning, you're still going to be mighty protected in here. So this is one spot that's looking very exciting that I want to try and get to. First thing, I might try and rush straight out to here. And then while I'm here, I'm probably going to try and fish these oyster bars right here also. So this we got a little chain of spots, and then we got some could try and fish these two maybe. So I like this little trifecta area here. I'm definitely going to try and fish this first thing in the morning Saturday. So let's see. And then that trifecta area, and then I'm going to come into here and get onto this little beach here. Try and get some sight fishing done. Because with the outgoing tide, hopefully the water's not too chocolate milky. Because a lot of issues is when it's super windy and the bottom's all blown up and it's muddy, it's real hard to sight fish, which is what I like to do because I mostly use artificials. But this is looking like a real nice beach here. I'm going to add this spot too for this weekend. Let's see, new. Fish this bank. Again, outgoing tide. This would probably be better for the incoming tide because all the water would be getting pushed into it. So I'm actually going to change this to incoming tide. So I think this spot is going to be better for an incoming tide, to be honest. However, it's going to be protected from the wind. So that's what I'm liking. It's going to be protected from the wind for this weekend. This mouth here, though, this side looks a little bit beachier than, or it looks about as beachy as up there, and you'll have some water moving from up here. So I've got that spot marked. I'm going to try and come and do this mouth next. Coming back into here, what's really interesting is because some of these areas, this is all mostly salt, because, this is the Gulf of Mexico right here. And just to show you how far are we, no, I don't want waypoints. I want tools. Distance. So like just to show you something interesting, right? You come all the way in on this river. It's 5 miles inland, right? It's still saltwater. You're 5 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. But I came in and fished these two spots right here because I wanted to come see what they look like, because you know that you can clearly see that water in here is way different than all the water out here. The water in here, straight fresh water. It was all gar, it was cichlids, it was Oscars. But coming through this river right here, the water was gin clear. It was like 6 feet deep, and you could see straight to the bottom like you were looking through a mirror or looking through a window. So that's the cool thing that I love about this, is you can be fishing in the Gulf of Mexico and then just drive 6 miles, and it's all fresh water in here. I did catch a snook in here while we were eating lunch. I just threw out a little fake shrimp on a popping cork and ended up catching a snook while we were eating lunch. But it was so interesting that, you know, you can just turn a corner, drive down a river, and then it goes from, you know, straight to fresh water where you're seeing, I didn't see any bass, but I saw a lot of fish that are usually with bass. So let's see here. Anything else in here? We already checked that. That bank's going to be something I'm fishing. I believe back in here, if I remember correctly, gets incredibly shallow. Let's see, am I right? Come on. Any day you want to turn on, Junior. There we go. Yeah. See, so it's saying the median low tide in there is a foot. So I'm probably going to want to stay out of this area. But if I can squeak in there, because it is going to be a higher tide, some of this structure looks like it could be interesting. But on an outgoing tide, you know, you don't want to be places where you're not sure if you're going to get stuck. Because if you get stuck in an outgoing tide and the water gets too low for you to get your boat out, you're stuck for a long time, because you have to wait for it to go all the way to low tide, and then you have to wait for it to come all the way back in before you're going to get enough water to get yourself unstuck. And with a north wind that's going to be that strong, the incoming tide, if you look at this, it says high tide ain't till 5 p.m. So you're going to be stuck a solid 8 hours. And with that north wind, that high tide is going to be even later than they have it forecast to be, because the tide is going to have to fight against that northeast wind. So if you're going out this weekend in Chokoloskee, be careful. And don't go anywhere that you don't know you can get through, even at low tide. So that was always an interesting looking area. I'm going to avoid that like the plague because of the tides this weekend. Over here, this is a juicy looking island too, especially this east side of this island. You know, if it's a northeast wind, I might be in some trouble on the east side of this island. But it's looking very beachy, very shallow. So, and it's facing east. So first thing in the morning, that's going to be heating up from the sunlight. So I might want to check this spot too. But you know, it's all going to depend on that wind. If that wind forecast is accurate, if it's out of the due north, I could fish it. The bottom half will be nice and protected from the wind. If it shifts from the northeast early, though, I'm going to be in some trouble. However, if it does shift from the northeast, I could always just fish the opposite side. So whichever side of this island that I'm going to fish Saturday morning is going to be very dependent on what the wind's actually doing and if it's following the forecast or not. Let's see, zooming in here. This looks like it could be, this looks like a nice little spot too. I can't tell if that's a mud puff or that's actually the bottom though. Let's see. I'm going to add another marker here. Let's see. Check this out. Northeast wind. That's another spot that, again, is probably going to pop off a little bit better on the incoming tide. But, you know, I'm going to have to be fighting this wind all weekend. So now once you get through here, I've fished this bay a few times without much luck. And then this here is a no wake zone. So unfortunately, you got to creep through that for like a mile. And then if you get into this next one here, if it ever wants to load. Hello, sir. Come on, get yourself loading. So you got all these. There's a lot of beachy areas here. I don't particularly like to fish this area too much because this area is a lot of pressure. I've come here and counted 14 boats, and you would think there wouldn't be a lot of pressure there because, again, if we're measuring distance, we're going from here all the way to the boat ramp. That's 16 miles almost in a straight line. And as you can see, you have to come up here, over here, around here, down here, up this way, down this way. It's probably damn near 25 miles once you get there going through all the rivers. And you got a no wake zone. So this is so far away. But I don't know why it keeps turning my spots on. Stop it. Okay. So there is some, and there's really good sight fishing in here too. I don't know why it keeps turning my spots back on. That's getting annoying. Don't steal my spots, please. So as you can see, it's great sight fishing in here, but there's a lot of pressure. So I try to avoid this spot. And let's see. There we go. You finally decided to load again. And then the cool thing about this spot is this is Alligator Bay. This is Dad's Bay here. What's interesting is if you come through this first no wake zone, the current is going to be going one way. So say you're heading southeast. If you come through this one, the currents will be going against you, and the tide, this two bays is where the tide splits between the two rivers. The first river here, that's the Chatham, and down here, which is Lostman's. So the tide completely flips in the middle here. So if you're going against the current in this one, you're going to be going with the current in this one, or vice versa in the same tide. So like if you're going with the current down this one, you're going to be going against the current in this one. So I kind of like, that's kind of cool, where once you get to here, like if it's on the outgoing tide, the tide's going to be going out this way. We're going to be fighting the current coming down here. Current's going to be going up that way. Well, I think it's up that way because my camera's mirrored. And then we're going to be coming out this way. We're going to be going with the current. So now what we want to do is try and find some real beachy spots over here because this is the second half. Am I already past? Yeah, Lostman's 5. I'm already past it. So let's see. So again, currents. And if I look at the current, we're going to be, a tide marker should be about right here, I think. It's either this bay or the next bay for Onion. Where's Onion Key? Oh, it's the next one. So let's see. The tide here, there's a lot of open water here, so the tide doesn't move a lot, but it's going to go from positive 0.66 to a negative, negative 0.03. So it's going to go to a 0, which might not sound like a lot, but the water is always cooking through here, man. Just because there's such a high volume of the water, it won't look like it's moving because there's so much of it. But once you sit still, as soon as you put your boat in neutral, you'll be like, oh, there's no current here. You throw your boat in neutral, and suddenly you're going 3 miles an hour, with the current, with your motor shut off. So it's a fun area, but you got to know the area well. So let's see. So that's Onion Key. So again, with the tide going out, this I think would be a cool spot to check out right here. But again, you're going to be fighting the wind. So the issue here is the current is going to be moving out, going down, but the wind is going to be going with it. So you're going to want to try and find a spot where you have the current working with you. So the current's going to be pushing all down this way. So you're going to want to try and find some spots because the current pushes all the bait onto these shores. Like wherever there's a bend in the river, the current's going to push everything onto this wall, and that's where a lot of the fish love moving water. So you're going to want to try and find a spot that has moving water from the tides, but also you're protected from the wind. That's going to be a big thing for this weekend, is being protected from the wind. So one spot you might want to try is if you wanted to try and fish a point, what I would probably do is I would stage up with my trolling motor about right here, maybe back here around the corner, and you're going to want to throw your artificial lures, your jig heads with your soft bodies or whatever you're using, in the mid to lower water column, and you're going to just pitch them up here and let them come back with the current, because you always want to work your lures coming with the current, right? If you work your lures going against the current, the fish are going to see it. And, you know, bait fish don't generally swim against the current. They can't. They don't have enough power. So, you know, if you've got your fish staging up here, they've got the moving water, but there's going to be a back eddy back here. That's where a lot of your fish are going to stage up, your predatory fish, and they're going to be waiting to ambush the bait that's getting sucked down this bank here. And, you know, if you're staged up here, throwing your lures to the south, pulling them back north when the current is going out, because if outgoing current is going to be heading to the south because it's going out to the Gulf. So if you're staged up here on the north part of this point and you're throwing your lures and pulling them back into the current, the predatory fish are going to be sitting there staging, and they're going to see your bait, and they're going to be like, well, that ain't right, dude. That little fish can't swim against the current. So that's why you're going to want to stage up on this side of the point. Throw your lures up into the current so that way you're retrieving them with the current. The fish see them, they're going to be like, oh man, that's a bait fish, I want to eat it, and just dive right on it. You know, it's not going to set off any alarm bells that your little, you know, 2-3 inch paddle tail is swimming against a 3 mile an hour current, like I just said. You know, fish are not dumb, and big fish do not get big by being dumb. Small fish might be dumb, but if you want to catch big fish, they're not stupid. They did not get big by being stupid. So that's what I'm going to be looking for if I make it down here in the Lossmans, is I'm going to be looking probably to fish some points so that I can be hidden, like from the, because we said, you know, wind out of the northeast. So somewhere in this top quadrant is where the wind is going to be coming from, you know, top quadrant of the screen. So we're going to be wanting to have an island of some kind or land of some kind or trees of some kind further up in this quadrant than we are. So that's why I said if you stage up right here, if the wind's coming here from the northeast, you're going to be out of the wind and you're still going to have moving water from the current. So that's going to be a cool spot to fish. Another cool spot that I could want to check out is going to be this spot, because again, outgoing current, the water is going to be moving down through here. So depending on how it's splitting down this river, I assume it's going to come both ways, but it might mostly come this way because water is always going to take the path of least resistance. So it's probably going to come down this little creek here and then down into here into the bigger river. But on the off chance it is coming this way too, there's probably going to be some water moving this way. Let's see if we got any depth changes. What are our depths looking like here? So look at this, man. You're going from 10 feet, 11 feet deep out here to less than a foot deep up here. So I would think, so there's probably not going to be much flowing down here. This is a very, very incredibly shallow creek. So on second thought, not going to be much there, but man, oh man, it's going to be ripping through this river right here. 13 feet deep, and look at how drastic this changes. So my goodness, if I can get my boat up in here, it looks like it's going to be very, very shallow. Can I zoom in and see more numbers? No. Oh, well, it's 12 feet deep here and a half a foot deep here. So my God, if you stage up right around where this plus sign is or something around here and you rip lures up here, that water is going to be ripping those. So if you use jig heads, the bait I use most often is a soft body plastic with a jig head. Do I have any sitting on my desk here? No, give me 1 second. I just got a gift package that I bought from Salt Strong. So I'll be right back to show you what we're working with. So this is my goodie bag I bought myself for Christmas, along with the shirt I'm wearing. That came in this box today that I bought. So I use a lot of these. I love the white colored soft plastics. Use those. You put a jig head on the front of them, but you use different color or different weights on your jig heads. Oh, the dog's trying to eat these. I guess they smell great. So let's see, what size jig heads did I even buy? I've got some. So these are 1/4 ounce jig heads. the water is going to be ripping through there. So I would recommend going way heavier than a quarter, at least a half an ounce, probably a 3/8 of an ounce even, because that's the other thing is with the water temperature or the air temperature being as low as it is going to be this weekend. If you can't find beachy areas where the fish are going to be sunning themselves and the water is going to be getting hot right away, they're not going to be there. They're probably going to be deep down. So that's the other recommendation I would have for this weekend. If you normally use a 1/4 ounce jig head, I'd go up to like a half ounce or a 3/8 ounce jig. So that if I have any of those in my tackle box, which I should, but I haven't been out in a few weeks because I've been out of town for the holidays. I'll have to double check, but that's one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post up probably right about here where this plus is, pitch some jig heads around this huge drop off with the soft body, just let them drift all the way down and try and bump the bottom the whole way and just try and pull out some monster snook. Unfortunately, it's not snook season, so I won't get to keep any, but generally if you're bumping bottom with a 3/8 ounce, and I'm going to use something big, like probably a 3 or a 5-inch paddle tail. If you're catching snook with that setup, they're probably going to be too big to eat anyways, so it won't matter really that it's not snook season. But that's one thing I would do is this looks like it's going to be real juicy for snook here. And the other thing about back here, there are a lot of Goliath grouper back here. Juveniles, I've caught 15, 20-pound Goliath groupers back here. So, let's shut this contour off, see if we can't find any more big beachy areas though, because Goliath grouper are fun to catch, but you can't eat them. I've been really trying to get on the reds. I've been trying to get better at catching redfish. I catch a lot of small snook. I've been catching lots of small snook. Full disclosure, did not get one keeper snook this season. They were all too small. I've had the worst luck with snook this season. But I've been trying to get better at catching the reds. So I'm trying to find some more beachy areas. Let's see. That's if I would say that if there was one type of fish I was trying to focus on this year to get better at it's catching, it's been redfish. Come on, man. And I will say my spots are supposed to be shut off. This spot right here, I'm not going to give you the coordinates or anything. If you can manage to find that, that's where I caught my 20-pound Goliath grouper. So good luck finding that, since this thing, my spots are supposed to be shut off, but it's not cooperating right now. But that's where I caught a 20-pound Goliath grouper. Good luck getting there. You're about 40 miles from the boat ramp. Let's see. Now, with the outgoing tide, this could be a real good spot to fish. Is going to be this point, because you're going to have a north-northeast wind, and so there is going to be water is going to be cooking through here, boy. So what I might do is I've fished this corner before. I've pulled redfish out of this corner quite a few times and seen a lot of tailing redfish. But the last few times I've been out, the water had been so muddy I couldn't see them. They saw me before I saw them, and I just saw them spook. But if you get in here, this turns into a goddamn wind tunnel. So you're not going to be able to fish this, even if it's a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind, which I highly doubt it's going to be. You ain't going to be able to fish this. I might try and tuck in here, though, because my boat should be able to float in about 4 or 5 inches. But again, with the outgoing tide, I don't want to push my luck. So I would like to check this spot to stage up and see what I can do. But if you fish Chokoloskee, hopefully you learned something for this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to go to bed because I got to work in the morning. But I saw there were a few people joining. We got 5 people watching right now, so thanks everybody for watching. And good luck and catch some monsters. Hopefully I can catch some trout this weekend too. The trout hadn't been cooperating much either, so hopefully I can get some of those this weekend because the weather's nice and cold. The trout love the cold, so that's one thing I will leave you guys with. Definitely try and check out some trout. So take it easy, everybody, and I will see y'all on the water, hopefully.